Well, g'day curd nerds. G'day curd nerds. Well, 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 g'day curd nerds. Welcome back. I'm Gavin Webber. I'm the Chief Curd Nerd, and I will attempt at answering your home cheese making questions. This is episode 343 on this very fine Australia Day and day of a national day here in Australia. Okay, so big shout out to all of the patrons and members that support the show. Let me just have a look. Yep, there we go. We can do that. So we've got lots of new YouTube members today, which is fabulous. So g'day, shout out to Catherine, Kian, I think that's how you say it, Estelita, Diesel Gravy, Frederick, Robin, Blue Wolf the Youper, Joey Howard, and Divinity. Thank you all for becoming YouTube members. Also, we do have Mervyn, new patron over on patreon.com. Thanks to everybody. It's your financial support that keeps the show going and keeps the channel going, actually, as well. So thank you very, very much. Okay, now don't forget, if you've got a question in the chat, which I think there are a few already, put 3 Qs in there, like you see Dental Man has just done, which is fantastic. Thank you so much for that. But before we start, let's say g'day to a few people, and I'll tell you about what's going on the show today. Okay, first person to jump into the chat is RTD Jazz. Welcome. And then Paul. G'day Paul. Valerie, hello to you in Oklahoma. G'day to Dental Man in Germany. We've got Jeffrey in Adelaide. Hello, Jeffrey. Sprout in Pakistan. G'day, Sprout21. Welcome. Amelia in Brazil. Oh, there you go. Don't often get people from Brazil. It's very very nice to see you. Who else we got? 4 times Faith. Do I have a PO box? No, I don't, but the address can be found on my website. Who else we got? Storm Raven. Hope you got better from your flu. GH. G'day, GH. Matt. G'day, Matt. Lovely to see you, mate. Molly in Pennsylvania. We got David as well. Hello, David. Michelle. Hello, Michelle. Star Farms is in the chat as well. We got Cool Cat and Titus. Who else we got? Brian D. Carolyn. What's that one? Snentasis. Oh my goodness. And then g'day, how are you? KJ Tempo. Don't know what the message was, but it's not there anymore. Good morning, Gav, I think it said. Oh, there it is. And Chris Webb. And Zombicus, lovely to see you. Okay, so I think we got everybody on board. 37 people watching. That's higher than average, so thank you so much for joining today. Right, so what's going on this week? We've got a video that's just been released called 3 Reasons Why Cheese Making Brings Me Joy. I thought I just came up with this idea. I was watching a whole bunch of YouTube videos and about I don't know, I can't remember, about recording your best work or something like that. And it just struck me. I thought, cheese making does bring me joy. Why not tell people about it and why I think it does? So I did that, and the video's there. I think it's hit about 1,000 views at the moment. If you haven't watched it, go and check it out. It's on the channel. The next, let me bring up my Trello page, and I'll show you what we're doing this week. We're full of stuff going on, I tell you. And how do I see this? How do we see this? There we go. Right, so this is my Trello page. This is how I do my video production. So tomorrow, because it's the Australia Days on the Sunday, they normally give us a day off on the Monday. So public holiday tomorrow for Australia Day. So I will be making the orange and walnut kefili, which is just this one here. And then on Wednesday, I've got scheduled to make a Valence. I've got the Valence baskets. I've got some ash, and I'll go and pick up some goat's milk, and that should be good fun. So we'll get that video underway. And then on the, I think it's next Saturday, I'll be making prima donna. I haven't got the official recipe, but I've got a recipe that apparently tastes the same. So we're going to try making prima donna, which is a cross between a Gouda and a Parmesan. It's sold in the Netherlands. So I'm going to try that, and we'll see how we go. So they're the 3 videos I'm going to be attempting to produce in this next week or so. So that's a lot of cheese. We've run out on the cheese fridge. We've got some well-aged stuff, but I've run out of some new sort of stuff since the Hispanico, and we've been chowing through that. It's a lovely cheese. So if you haven't made the Hispanico, you should make that as well. Okay, so that's the video production side of things. So that is going to be good fun this week. I'm looking forward to it. Also, my sister is coming to visit, so I have to pick her up from the airport after the show. So I will have to leave dead at 9 o'clock my time. So, alrighty. We do have some questions. So let's get into them, shall we? The first one is from Dental Man. It says, how important is pH monitoring, and what typical values should I pay attention to during the different stages? Okay, as a beginner, if you are a beginner dental man, then monitoring pH is probably not as important as the process itself. And people are going to blast me in the comments, maybe. But monitoring pH is something that I rarely do. Probably because I've been making cheese for a long time and I can see the signs of what the curds are doing. Remembering that pH monitoring was never done prior to the 20th century. There was no such thing. dairy maids and cheesemakers just knew. They've been doing it long enough, and they knew what to look for. So pH is only a modern thing. pH stands, for those who don't know, stands for potential hydrogen, and is a method of determining alkalinity or acidity of something, of a liquid or a form or something. How important is it? Like I said, as a beginner, if you follow the recipes in my book, you will have fairly good success. I do. That's what I use. When I come up with a recipe, it's exactly what happened in the video. Yeah. Now, if you get into more intermediate sort of cheese making and advanced, and you want to nail the same cheese over and over and over again, then what we need to do is do monitor the pH. So we monitor the pH before we add in the starter cultures. We monitor the pH before we add the rennet, and then when we have, as we are cooking the curds, we monitor the pH and check. And as we've pressed it and salted it, we measure the pH as well. But that's if you're more advanced. Now, if you want, let me see, do I have it? If you want a book that covers all that sort of stuff, and you can find this down in my Amazon shop link, it's called Mastering Artisan Cheese Making by Giannis Caldwell. And in all of the recipes, let me see, find an example. There is, I'm trying to find a recipe. There's hundreds of them in here. Yeah, so for instance, this is for I'm looking at a recipe for a Reddit curd bloomy rind cheese, which is very similar to Valencia, and she measures the pH. Right, she measures the initial pH of the milk, then she measures the pH after the cultures have done their job, and it tells you how much of a drop it should be. And then when you cut the curds, tells you what the pH should be there. When you're stirring the curds, at the end of stirring, it tells you what the pH should be there. Let me see, any other pH measures? Yep, so once it's in the ripening box, no, that's not it. Salt should be what? Right, so when it's salted, so we wait some time before salting, and then we measure the pH again, and that's it, I think. Yeah, so some good guides. So like I said, this book here, Mastering Artisan Cheese Making by Giannis Caldwell, is a good pickup. It's expensive, but well worth the money, and that has all the pH settings that you need to hit if you want to make the same cheese over and over and over again. Okay. Alrighty, hope that answered your question, Dental Man. Right, so there's lots more coming in. Oh, goodness me, we've got lots of questions. So there's another one from Sprout that says, how would you go about making patterns, designs on rinds of cheese without a mould? Would a similar technique to scoring a break loaf work? No, it wouldn't. The rind should remain intact. The only time that people put patterns in their cheese is, Matthew does this, who's online, and he does it in his cheese called Templar. I think, I'm not sure how he does it, but he puts a Templar, the Knights of Templar, he puts a cross on top of each cheese. It looks amazing. So Matthew, you can just explain that. If it's not a trade secret, that would be fantastic. Stamping stuff into cheese always lends to mold getting into them. If you score the rind after you've pressed it, you're just asking for trouble, because the rind is the protective barrier that makes the stops mold from getting into the inside of the cheese. So the rind is like your force field around the cheese, if that makes sense. So you should never score the rind. You should always try and achieve, if you're pressing a semi-hard and hard cheese, that is, always achieve a firm rind that has no defects, because the last thing you really want is mold getting into cracks and all that sort of stuff. So I hope that helps. Okay, Chris says, howdy from inner Melbourne, long time watcher, first time stream watcher. Thanks for joining us, Chris. That's lovely. Jose, g'day Jose, love to see you, mate. Alrighty, Paul has a question that says, hi Gavin, some of my hard cheeses seem to need more salt for some reason. I use cheese salt, and use what is in the recipe, but it still tastes flat and has no sharpness, thanks. Okay, so as far as salting goes, we're trying to get a, let me just find the salting percentage for cheddar. I'll consult Gianna Klaus's thing again, book. There is if we look for cheddar as an example, cheddar 272. Sorry I'm referring to books, but my brain's a bit fuzzy this morning. Cheddaring process, there it is, classic milled cheddar. Salt percentage should be, let's have a look. No, I'm looking at the wrong section. There we go. Salt. Final goal is 2%. So 2% by weight is what we do. So we need to weigh the curds after you've milled them and broken them into smaller bits, Paul. And then weigh them and then work out 2% of the weight, and then add that much salt. And that is usually a good rule. But there are, as you can see, my saltings vary. Cheese salt, if you're using cheese salt, you should be right. Remembering that finer grained salt, if we're using tablespoons, right? There was a video that, what's his name? The chef guy, Chef John, whoever Chef John's channel is, he did a video on salt. Let's see if we can find it. And it's really important because different salts weigh different amounts. Let me just go onto YouTube and see if I can't find it. Food Wishes, that's who I'm looking for. Mr. Food Wishes. So we're just going to pop over to his channel, have a quick look. I don't know if that's Chef John, but I think he's just a narrator. So we want to look for salt on his channel. Here he is, the Tale of Two Salts. So this video here, I won't play it, but I will share it. So go and check this out. And this tells you about different salt weights. Now I use, in my curds, I use a coarse salt. And I use fine salt in the brine. So coarse salt is absolutely fine when you're using it. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to get rid of that. That's what I'm trying to do. So yeah, different salts weigh different weights, but you're going for 2% by weight of the curds. So hope that helps. If your cheese tastes flat and has no sharpness is indicator of high acid, well, low acid, sorry, which is strange because lack of salt tends to have in your cheese tends to have runaway acid development, and the cheeses are really sharp if you don't have enough salt. There can be other factors that your cheese tastes flat. Maybe you're not adding enough starter culture could be another thing. If you're using raw milk and you've cut back the amount of starter culture, then that can also be an issue of under acidification as well. But it sounds like if you don't have too much salt, the cheese will be very sharp and very pungent because there's a lot more lactobacteria activity. So I hope that answers your question, Paul, in a roundabout way. Ender says, hello, I came here a few years ago under the name of Ladybug Lover 777, and I was honestly really rude to you. And I got reminded of this and wanted to come to apologise. You're such a cool dude. Thank you, Ender. I appreciate the apology, and I accept it, of course. I never hold any grudges, ever. Matt says, watched your joy video, and it's spot on. One of the main joys is watching people's faces when they try wonderful homemade cheeses. They're usually amazed, astonished at what's possible with milk. I think that's a flex. That's a flex icon there. Oh, lovely. Down there in the little commenting thing. There we go. Lovely. Yes, indeed. I totally agree. When you do see people's faces when they eat your cheese, well, when you've nailed the cheese, when it's a yucky cheese, then maybe not so. But yeah, I think it's pretty good. The next question is from Zombicus says, I don't pay attention to pH, I follow Gav's recipes and never have a problem. Thank you, Zombicus, appreciate that. Meta Vulture says, hope you are doing well and sending best wishes from Colorado. A bit off topic, I believe there's a Broncos team in Australia too. Yeah, could be. Brisbane Broncos, that's who they are. I think they're a rugby team, as in rugby league. One day I hope to make my first mozzarella after we move and have room. I would suggest not making mozzarella first because it's not a beginner's cheese. Pasta filata cheeses are finicky if you don't nail them. I would try something like yesterday's or let me think, what's another good one? Feta, halloumi, panilla, ricotta salata, Guido's, any of those cheeses before mozzarella, that's for sure. Okay, Titus says, can you use beet juice to colour most cheeses? I'm pretty sure that you can, because back in the old days, before annatto came from South America, they used to colour their cheeses with a few things. Some were marigold petals that have been dried and turned into a juice, a liquid, and then added. The other thing was carrot juice. They used to add carrot juice to the milk to colour it as well. So I couldn't see why you couldn't add beet juice. I wouldn't use the stuff in a can. I'd use fresh beetroots and squeeze the juice out of them because they tend to be less acidic. Because remember, the beetroot in the cans are pickled and they have vinegar in them, and the vinegar will throw the pH of your cheese way out, and your cheese will be crumbly and terrible. So okay, so there you go. Alrighty, Jeffrey says, Gavin, will you ever get the 150ml basket in your shop, as the large one is too big for 5 litres the cheese comes out too flat? I have been looking, Jeffrey. I don't have any at the moment. The supplier, where did I used to get them from? I used to get them from New Zealand, but the supply has run out of those. They are a good basket. I had to print my own follower. A friend has a 3D printer, and he made a follower for me for that fits my spring press. But yeah, that's basically what the go is there. I don't have any. I'm trying to find a supplier for them. I do have the number. I think they're made in either Italy or France, so I would have to import them from Europe, unfortunately, Jeffrey. But yeah, they are a good basket, a smaller basket. And it's hard to get followers, that's for sure. Matthew says that the Templar is stage by stage cold smoke with a stencil, so you get differing depths of smoke colour, creating the pattern. That is fantastic. Thank you, Matthew. And it is a great looking cheese. I don't know. I'll just stop the curd nerd light there for a second. Thanks, Paul, for the super chat. I'll get to that in a sec, mate. I appreciate it. Let me just turn the light up. I'm pretty sure I have, I can find some pictures on the web for the Templar cheese, because you've been all over the news. Cheese. Do we have photos anywhere? Come on, Google. It's supposed to be able to do things like this. Templar cheese. I'm sure he's been on. There he is. What a good looking rooster. Let's bring this up. And here we go. Here we go. So this is Matt, who's actually in the chat at the moment. I don't know. Can I make that any bigger? No. So that's his Templar cheese there. That looks amazing. Can I zoom in? Can I zoom in? Let's just zoom in a bit. There we go. So that's Matt and his Templar cheese. So that's what I mean by a marking. So he's, like he's just said, he's cold smoked that into the cheese with a stencil. So that it looks amazing. So well done, mate. And congratulations on your cheese business. I hope it's doing well. Yeah, so that's... oh, there we go. I knew I could find a photo of somebody. Alrighty. We have another question, but I'll just get to Paul's super chat because he's paid $25 US. Thanks, mate. It says, Gavin, this morning I finally tried my stout cheddar I made instead with hard apple cider. It has a strong wine, hard cider smell and taste, but otherwise good. How subtle should the alcohol be? Normally with the stout cheddar, it does have quite strong stout overtones in flavour and smell. So I dare say that hard cider, in Australia we just call it cider. Hard cider is alcoholic apple cider. What you guys over there call cider is, we call it apple juice. But yeah, it's a medium. You know, you should be able to taste the cheese flavour as well as the... really, it shouldn't be too much alcohol. It should be more the apple, the cider acidity and that sort of flavour. So I hope that helps, Paul. But yeah, you should be able to taste it. Don't you worry about that. And if you can't taste it, you haven't put enough in. So I think that you've done the right thing. And thank you so much for the super chat and the $25, mate. Appreciate it. There is another question here. This one's from Zomicus. Says, my young cheese tastes flat to me. If I age them out, will they get tastier over time? Yes, they will. Cheese takes time to develop. If you taste a semi-hard to hard cheese that is not as per whatever I've recommended in the recipe, then yeah, they're going to be underaged and not have the right flavour and acidity that the cheese should do. If you age them longer, yes, they're going to taste better. I haven't met a cheese or semi-hard or hard cheese that hasn't tasted better if you age it longer. There's only one really, because it's high moisture, and that's Caerphilly, that you really shouldn't age past 4 weeks. Other than that, all the other cheeses are fair game. The semi-hard and hard cheeses, the ones you press, are fair game. And the longer you age them, the better they taste. So, Sprout21 says, what are some tests I can do to test the purity of milk? Buffalo milk is very easily and cheaply available here, but they're often mixed with water or cow's milk. Now, the only way you can tell is the fat to protein ratio, or the fat to, and protein contents to tell what type of milk you've got. Unfortunately, there's a test machine, but you're talking thousands of dollars. I saw it at, can I find, oh, this might be a good one, if we can do it. Bear with me. It was called a Lactimate or something bloody like that. Let me have a look. A long paddock cheese, not the factory tour. Oh goodness me, did I actually testing milk? There we go. There's a little machine. Where is it? Oh, I do have a video. I'll see if I can bring it up. There we go. Right, so I've got an image. I've got an image for you. Oh, let me just see if this is all going to work. 1 second, Curd Nerds. Sorry it's taking a bit of time. There we go. Right, so this is some behind the scenes video that I took. Now this is at Long Paddock Cheese, and this is their kitchen area. This is where they weigh and prepare and test milk and all that sort of stuff. So what we have here is a sample of milk in a little what's it called? It's a sterile jar, similar, and I don't know if you can see in the little picture. So I got one here, similar. That's what I store my cultures in. So what it's doing, and I can't zoom in, unfortunately. It's called a lactic check machine. It checks protein, fat, and it checks the percentage of it. So the only way really to test milk is to use a machine similar to this. We know that buffalo milk is very high in fat and high in protein. So this is the only way, by testing it like this using a machine called a lactic check, is the machine that you would be able to figure out whether the milk is real or not. So that's all I've got to say about that. So yeah, you don't need to test it. And it's very hard to get this. Well, it's not hard. It's expensive to get this testing equipment. So other than that, I have no idea how you would do it without using a machine that tells you. That's what they do with dairy stuff. Okay. Now the just one last question before we start the gallery. And there's a lot of photos in the gallery today, which is great. Just One Asbestos says, what's a good gateway cheese for someone who's never had a Brevibacteria cheese? Oh, goodness me. So it depends on where you live, whether you can get it or not. My favourite is Tilsit. And Tilsit is they originally made it in Prussia long time ago, when there was a Prussia. There is not a Prussia at the moment. So it uses a thermophilic starter culture as its base, and it is less likely to do funny things when it's maturing. It's a good and easy Brevibacteria cheese to make, and it does taste amazing. But as far as eating one, you got your Munster is a great cheese. Brick is a good cheese that has a little bit of Brevibacteria linens. Look, Limburger, for people who have never tried it and just been put off by the smell, is a good cheese. It tastes lovely. I've made it. Some other fantastic blue washed rind cheeses. Let me think off the top of my head. There's heaps. There's heaps in Europe. There's a lot of Trapper stuff. So stuff like St. Paulin, and there's lots of smaller ones. I've already said Munster, I think. And I'm just trying to think of some more. Bloody hang on. I've got a whole load of them sitting in my Trello board that I haven't been able to make because... Where the heck is it? Trello, here we are. So I'm back here. So some gateway ones. Reblochon, that's a washed rind cheese. Whiffy Vicar, which is better known as Stinking Bishop, is a nice one. Epois, which is very stinky and very gooey and a lovely taste. What's another one? Dambo is a very milder one. S-Rom is a good one as well if you can get it. And that's about it as far as Brevibacterial linens cheeses go. Anyway, moving right along, let's get to the gallery. Lots more questions, and we'll get there in a second. But let me just get the gallery stuff up. Here we go. There we go. All right, hopefully you can all hear me okay. Alrighty, so the first gallery photo, and this is spectacular. I don't know, David, you've done some great photography here on the cheese photos that you've sent through. Look at that. That is outstanding. All right, so let's have a chat about this. Dave sent me an email and says, "Hi Gavin, I sent 4 photos, and I sent a charcuterie board that was extra. I come from a multi-generational line of sausage, salami, and cured meat makers. Home use, not professional. About 6 years ago, my wife said to me that we have all this meat and we always seem to have to buy cheese. So that is when it all started. My very first cheese was an Italian goat cheese called Narina. I think that's how you say it. I have separate pictures of that, but it is in the upper left-hand corner of the charcuterie platter. Okay, let me just... Can we look? Where's the charcuterie platter? Upper left-hand corner. Okay, so it's a bloomy ash-coated goat cheese. That's the one there we're talking about. Anyway, let's get back to this one. Yeah, okay, it turned out great, so I continue to make it. I discovered your channel a couple of years ago. I love it so much that I had to join your group about a year ago. In the past, I've been reluctant to send pictures since all of your followers seem to be excellent cheesemakers and have been a bit embarrassed to send pictures. This time I decided to take a couple of pictures of my latest and go for broke. I hope you like them. I do, Dave. The first one is Red Windsor. What a spectacular looking cheese. Hopefully yours turned out a bit better than mine. Mine was a little bit, the curds were a lot smaller. I can see you got some big chunky ones in there. And this cheese should have been better than mine, that's for sure. But I think I did correct some of the things in the video. The next one is Guido's Hard Italian cheese. I can see that you've vacuum packed this one. It looks spectacular. Good looking cheese. And good looking photo. So it says your recipe, but double the batch size and pictured on top of the oh right, so there's 2 cheeses here. There's an Asiago Pressato, that's how you say it. Which is a young, softer Asiago. The other half I decided to age longer to see if we could get an Asiago Stravecchio, my goodness me, which is 18 to 12 months. So, on top, Guido's, down the bottom, Asiago. All right. Very nice. Okay, the next one is wedges from left to right is a Morbier, and that looks fantastic. We've got a pepper jack, which looks equally as impressive. And I think there's a blue of some sort. What have we got there? Gorgonzola Dolce. Very nice. Indeed. Fantastic looking. These are going to be thumbnails for sure, Dave, for the next live stream. I love the pear. The pear it sets it all off. It's just fabulous. And the last picture is the charcuterie board, which it says, with some of the meats and salamis I make with several cheeses. Dave goes on to say, thanks for continuing to inspire me. I love the craft, Dave. Yeah, there's a few cheeses there. We've got a nice blue there. We've got the goat's cheese. What was it called? Narina. I would love the recipe for it if you have it, Dave. That would be fantastic to try and make. The Narina, that is. You got your pepper jack there. You've got your blue. You got some other cheese down here. Could be the Guido's, not sure. But I like the range. So you got all the meats. You've got pears, which are fantastic for high acid cheeses as well. I think there's some fruits down here, dried fruits and nuts. I think maybe different crackers. That's a lovely, well-rounded charcuterie board. So well done, mate. Appreciate sending those in. The next is from Joanne, and Joanne says, "Hi Gavin, is my blue needing the bin?" There's a better shot. There we go. Alrighty, so holes have been pierced, rather large holes, by the way. Probably don't need them that big, but they are pierced nonetheless. But no, this looks fine. I know it's got a bit of mould on it. You've got some funky colours going on there. But it's now time. Looks like you pierced it a little while ago. It's now time to wrap it in silver foil. Aluminium foil is what I mean. It's just silver in colour. So aluminium foil, wrap that up. Put them back in your ripening boxes. That'll stop any mould from growing on the outside. You won't have too many troubles. And then if needs be, once it's ripe and you think you've got some blue in the middle, you can scrape that outer layer off. It's no big deal. Blue cheeses are very forgiving. So yeah, they don't need to go in the bin. I know people see a little bit of mould and they get scared. Cheeses are covered in mould. Alrighty, moving right along. This is from Joseph, whose email featured in the last the video, the 3 reasons why cheese making brings me joy. Was one of the letters, and I do apologise because I called him Joseph Forster. It's actually Joseph Forst, Forst, and that was in the letter, and I didn't read it out right. I'm terribly sorry, Joseph. But Joseph has sent me in some photos. All he put in the email was, "Hi Gav, here's a few photos of my first cheeses." These are nondescript. So this is a good-looking cheese. I don't know what it is, but it's a good-looking cheese nonetheless. There's Joseph there with his, what do you got there? A Wensleydale. He's got a label on it. So this will be ready. So 6 months, 16th of, what the heck is that? June 2025. So yeah, I wouldn't open it 2 months. 6 months probably better. But good looking rooster. Good on you, Joseph. The next cheese he's got, it's another nondescript cheese going on there. Nice rind closure. We have a Gouda. This is ready June 30th. I would open it at the 6 months. That's pretty good as well. So good looking cheese, all waxed. I can see in your cheese cave, you've got the temperature probe there. And you've got it clipped on with a peg of some sort, but that's a good way to hold it in place. And another cheese that I don't know what it is, but some of the cheeses he's made. So thank you so much, Joseph, for sending those through. Okay, the next one is from Michelle, who's in the chat as well. So Michelle says, and this is a cheese toasty she's got here, very gooey and melty. It says, "Hi Gavin, I just wanted to share a picture of the American cheese I made last weekend with your recipe on your video. I made some grilled cheese sandwiches with it, and everybody really enjoyed them. I put a little cayenne pepper in it when I made it, but I feel like I can put a little bit more next time. I'm happy to have your recipe so I don't have to throw cheeses out that I don't love, although the pigs, dogs and cats were happy about it. Thank you for all the great recipes and ideas." It's good looking cheese. So she's used sodium citrate and a whole bunch of cheeses that she's made and didn't particularly like. Added a bit more salt, a bit more annatto if you needs be. There's the block there of the cheese that she's made. I can't really see cayenne pepper in it. Usually it's got some red flecks, but there's some there. There's the hand. There's the cayenne there. I've gone extreme close-up. But yeah, very melty. Very nice indeed. And that's perfect. Great way to use any cheese that you're not particularly fond of. Once you melt it, the flavours change. especially when you've added a little bit of water, some sodium citrate, and a bit more salt and annatto for colouring, and you get yourself a nice American cheese. So well done, Michelle. That is a perfect way to use cheeses that you're not so fussed about, which does happen from time to time. Okay, let's just clear that comment. Thanks to one and all for sending in your photos for the gallery. I really appreciate it. Let me show you where to find the email address to send it. So we go over to the channel page. Me, Gavin Weber, that's me. Down in this bit here says, do you want to become a curd nerd? Love eating cheese, can't get enough. Who can't? It has this more thing. Just click more, and this about pops up, and the email address is there. There we go. So you can click on that when you're logged into your Google account or YouTube account, whatever you want to call it, and the email that's the way you send them. So send in your photos to that email address, and I will feature them and showcase your cheeses during the gallery segment. So absolutely fantastic. Now we've got 16 minutes to go. I hope there's some more questions here. I know there's quite a few. Let me have a look. Okay, Cheeseman God says, I'm thinking of making a cheese mead, but not sure which cheese to use. Do you have any suggestions, Gavin? Cheers. Now, I'm a little bit confused about your terminology. So, making a cheese mead. So, I think you're talking about blonde, or B-L-A-A-N-D, or bland, however you want to pronounce it. The cheese, I would use a semi-hard or a hard cheese. I definitely wouldn't use a cheese that you've put Brevibacterial linens in. I wouldn't use a cheese that you put Penicillium roqueforti in. And I wouldn't, any bloomy cheeses, any cheeses with other molds. So as long as you've just got a standard starter culture, you can use the whey from that to make blonde, or it's better known as a lactomel is the official term for it. But yeah, I think that's what you're trying to ask. Or if you want to do a mead washed cheese, I have done that before in the past. It was called Appenzeller. That was the style I used. There is a video for that, mead washed Appenzeller. So you can go and check that out. There you go. I hope that answers your question. Another question from Storm. It's more of a statement from Storm Raven. Says there is another test, cheaper, faster fat tester called a Babcock test. It uses a simple centrifuge. How important is protein testing if we can at least get the fat content from a Babcock? The fat to protein ratio is important. Remembering that the proteins are 95%, I think, of the proteins in milk is casein. Now, they're alpha, beta, alpha 1, alpha 2, beta, and kappa proteins, casein proteins, and it's the kappa casein protein that bonds with the rennet. But you've got to have a decent fat to protein ratio to make sure that the curd sets properly. So protein is important in your milk. Any more questions? Let's have a look. Katerina says, finally made it to a show, albeit late. G'day and happy Australia Day. Yes, happy Australia Day to one and all, even those who aren't in Australia. Okay. Where is it? Maybe, and there's some more. There's another question I had up here. This is from Michelle. Says, I have 2 full cheese fridges and am currently working on my mead-washed Alpine cheeses. Going to take a small break until cows freshen. Indeed. It's probably a good idea if you've got 2 full cheese fridges, Michelle, but, you know, Making cheese is very not contagious, addictive. Well, eating it and making it, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, that's good. Thanks for sharing that. KJ Tempo says, "Hi Gavin, when finishing a cheese and leaving it out to air dry for a couple of days, what's the upper limit?" Okay. Now, this depends on the cheese. So, most of the cheeses that I've made and I've set air dry at room temperature I mean between 18 Celsius and 21 Celsius. I would not go over 21 Celsius. You'll get too rapid acid development in your cheese, especially if it's a cheese that hasn't had salt added to it yet, like the low acid cheeses like Gouda and Edam, Leerdama, those sort of cheeses that have had their curds washed with water during the process, low acid. They're going to spoil a lot quicker. So what you need to do with those low acid cheeses is you need to air dry those in the cheese fridge. So at 13 degrees Celsius. So for higher acid ones, it's okay. 21 is really the upper limit. My kitchen stays fairly cool most of the time because I've got double glazing and really good insulation. So, and we don't have heating on during winter because it always stays at about 18 degrees, which is really good. In summer, we need to put the air conditioner on to keep those temperatures, especially when I'm making cheese, because I really don't want the especially when air drying, I don't want the cheese to start acidifying too quickly. After the cheese has been salted and or brined, then 21 is okay. As I said, like I said, it's the upper limit. So there we go. I hope that answers your question. Alrighty, next question is from Paul again. It says, I did a cheese inventory this morning. I tried a Cheshire and Red Leicester that were nicely sharp. Is it better to move them to a fridge than to potentially overage them? Good question, mate. Alrighty, so overaging those two styles of cheeses is, in my humble opinion, not really a thing. Unless you don't like really sharp vintage cheeses, of course. And that is the thing. Some people like milder cheeses, other people like sharper cheeses. They're going to continue to develop in the cheese fridge, Paul. The Red Leicester and Cheshire are two really great candidates to age, out for many, many years. I made a double Gloucester, which is similar style of those two, and aged that out for 6.5 years or something. And I tell you what, it tasted amazing. It was just heaven on a stick, if that makes sense. It's just really, really tasty. A sharpness there. It was a bold flavour. It was just beautiful. Overaging. Look, what I would do, this is just personal, is I would cut off a quarter, if you've still got some, vacuum pack a quarter, and then put the rest in the normal kitchen fridge. So that quarter will continue to age and become sharp. Make sure you label it so you don't forget the name and when you made it and how old it's going to be when you discover it. So that would be absolutely fantastic. So that's a great way to, age just a little bit. So you get a sample of a really long aged cheese, if you can manage that. Question from Snentasis. I'll get these words right. It says, question, incredibly small kitchen, hardly any counter space, storage space, etc. What is the bare bones must-have equipment for comfy cheese making in a small kitchen? Okay. If you haven't got a lot of space, then you may struggle. It depends on. I haven't seen a picture of your kitchen, but I'm sure that you'll be able to fit in a small spring press like the ones we sell, and that I use in the videos. So you could make just about any cheese, really. Only problem you may have is having room anywhere for a cheese fridge. So just a little small dorm fridge with an external thermostat to control the temperature around 11 to 13 degrees Celsius is always an issue. I managed to find a space in my laundry. That's where I've got my cheese fridge, and it sits under the laundry counter. And haven't had too many troubles with it at all. But there's no room in my kitchen, even though it's a large, long, galley-style kitchen. I don't have room for another fridge, so it lives in the laundry. So I just had to think outside the box a little bit. As far as equipment goes, all your normal kitchen equipment that you've got, things like stirring spoons, whisks, measuring spoons, whether they be the mini ones or the standard size ones. They'll all fit in drawers. If you've got a kitchen utensil drawer, which most people have room for one of those, then that's where you're going to fit it, really. I've only got a large cheese cupboard that has all my moulds and presses and all that sort of stuff, and precision cookers and you name it, anything that I've accumulated over the years. It's a big old linen press, and that's where I keep my stuff. But that's because I work on this channel and I try and make all the cheeses, so... Unfortunately, I need all the cheese moulds and baskets as well, so they take up a bit of space. So hopefully that answered your question. Alrighty, next question's from Mervyn. G'day, Mervyn. Lovely to see you, mate. Hi, Gav. Do you have any issues after packing cheese and aging for a long time? Sometimes, Mervyn. It depends on the cheese. If the cheese is a fairly moist sort of cheese when you pack it, you're going to get a little bit of whey seepage out of it, especially as it acidifies. And the best way to get rid of that is just open up the vac packing, pat the cheese down with clean paper towel, let it air dry for about 6 hours until it's touch dry again, then vac pack again. And that way you'll get out of that. You'll have no problems, and the cheese will stop weeping in the bag. I've seen extreme cases like, just trying to think back. Remember the triple pepper jack that I made with buttermilk and all that sort of stuff? I don't know if you've seen the video, but anyway, many of you would have. It has a pretty good thumbnail of me breathing fire after eating the cheese. During when I vacuum packed it, because I had air dried it for quite a while, when I vacuum packed it, so much of the acid development was just crazy, and it expelled so much moisture. Normally, cheeses, when they're matured on on wooden boards in cheese caves, and when they expel moisture, it gets absorbed into the air around you. It evaporates or absorbs into the wooden board. And as you turn it, the cheese dries out. Unfortunately, with vacuum packing, it's very difficult for the cheese to dry out because it's contained within this plastic bag. So it's only really suitable for cheeses that are low in moisture. So things like cheddar works. I've done that, no problems at all. In fact, a lot of my cheeses are vacuum packed. And if I do start seeing a little bit of whey, I'll take them out of the bag, pat them down, air dry them, and then just re-vacuum pack them again. And I never have any problems with that. Longer aging, I've vacuum packed cheese for 7 years and it's tasted fine. But hopefully that helps, Merv. Alrighty. Thank you for your thoughtful... Oh, this is from the person with a small kitchen. Says, thank you for your thoughtful... We're about to make our first cheese and I'll make sure we're prepping and ready with our limited space. No problems at all. And what's the time? We've got 4 minutes to go, so thank you, everybody. Hopefully I got to all of your questions. If I haven't, I'm sorry. There's only so much time for the show. Let me just pay some of the bills, of course, as you do. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to hit the like button. Do we have a... Can I see how many likes there are? Does it say? Does it say on my computer somewhere? Oh, Gav, take charge yourself. Yeah, it says we have 11. There may be more. It just hasn't updated. But yeah, if you like the video, just give it a thumbs up. It shares it with the internet. People who are subscribed to the channel will actually get notified about it and may watch it. So that'll be fantastic. So if you want to buy any cheese making equipment, then don't hesitate to pop over to Little Green Workshops. then we ship all over the world. So you can get your cheese making supplies at littlegreenworkshops.com.au. We have kits, supplies, cultures, all the good gear, moulds, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, you can get that over at Little Green Workshops. If you want to pick up some fantastic merch, just like the wonderful t-shirt I'm wearing, Blessed are the Cheesemakers, and drinking from the, is it going to work? The Talk Curdy to Me mug. It's one of my favourites. Then you can pick them up at the merch store, merch.cheeseman.tv. Do I have a picture of the merch store? Yeah, I do. Let's have a look. There it is. merch.cheeseman.tv. There's me browsing all the merch. We still have the calendar available. I'm going to take it down at the end of the month because there's nothing worse than an old calendar. So if you wanted the calendar that I made, the cheese making calendar with all of the cheeses, you can see all the different photos for all the different months. And it's a proper dinky dye calendar. So yeah, anyway, so you can get that over at my merch store, and like I said, it's merch.cheeseman.tv. We've got t-shirts, mugs, we've got what are they called? Sweatshirts, phone covers, cups, stickers. Oh, we got everything, country and western. There we go. All right, so and that's about it, and that's about all from me. Thank you, Paul. I don't know what the heck that thing is. I think it's a super sticker. That's what it's called. There you go. There's a little animation in there. How cool's that? Very nice indeed. Thank you for the $10. I appreciate it, mate. All right, Curd Nerds. Thanks for watching, and thanks for everybody who's joined the stream today. It's been fabulous. It's been a lot of fun. I really do enjoy these live streams. They're just so much fun. And we got another dancing sticker. Goodness me. Thank you, Zombicus, for the $5 US. It's a dancing something. I don't know what the heck that is. Maybe it's a provolone. Well, let's just say it's a provolone, so that'll do. All right. Thanks for watching, Curd Nerds, and I will see you next time. See you later. Bye-bye.